Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Toxic Love Part 2. This is the story of Amy Carnevale. When we last left off, Amy Carnevale had went missing on August 23rd, 1991, and her father would call the police, and the police would go to her last known whereabouts, which was her ex-boyfriend's house, Jamie Fuller. And when the police would go to Jamie Fuller's house, he would say that he hadn't seen Amy Carnevale. And he would even as far go to not only aid the police, but her family looking for Amy. And on August 28, 1991, 5 days after she had been missing, a kid by the name of Michael Malay would actually come to the police station, and he would go and tell them, "You can find Amy Carnevale's body on Shoe Pond." The police would go and say, "How do you know where she is?" And Michael would tell them that he was there when Amy was actually murdered. He would then go and tell the police, "Not only will you find her at Shoe Pond, but you'll find her in some trash bags where a cinder block will be tied around her ankles." So the police would go where Michael had told them to go. And surprisingly, they sent some divers down, and they had actually found a trash bag that had a cinder block tied to it. And when they opened it, they had found the body of Amy Carnevale. And they knew it was Amy Carnevale because the outfit that the body had on matched the outfit that Michael and Cynthia had told the police what she was wearing the night she went missing. The police would then take Michael Malay back to the station and would ask him what happened on the night that she was murdered. There, Michael would tell him that Jamie had gone and invited his friends over to his house, and he was there at the time. He would say that Amy would approach the house to cut his hair, and before coming to the house, Jamie would actually go and take a hunting knife and wrap it up in a towel and put it in the back of his backpack. And when she arrived, he would go and ask her if she didn't mind walking out to the woods with him and his friends. There, he would go out to a woods, and his friends would stay back, and he and Amy would walk into a clearing. When they were alone, Jamie would take the knife out of his backpack and begin stabbing Amy in multiple places, in her chest, her back, her breast, and everything else. And she would begin screaming and trying to fight him off to no avail. Jamie would then go and take the knife and actually cut her ear to ear, and she would fall down and start gurgling and choking on her own blood. And as she was choking, she would tell Jamie, "I love you, Jamie," to which the sound of her gurgling blood and dying and her saying that she loved him would anger him so much that he would begin stomping her in the face until she actually succumbed to her injuries. He would then go back and show his friends the bloody knife and his bloody clothes where he had just killed Amy, to where they would go to a friend's house where he could wash up. They would also go and drink Kool-Aid, to which the entire time Jamie would make very disgusting jokes about how they were drinking red Kool-Aid and said that it was ironic considering that he had blood all over him. He would also go at that time after cleaning up and make his friends go so they could go and get rid of the body. They would take trash cans and a cinder block, wrap her body up in a trash bag, and take her out to Shoe Pond, to where he would go and throw the body overboard and watch it sink to the bottom. Before throwing her over, he would actually remove one of her necklaces, clean it off with the water, and put it on. And as he threw her over, he would just look at the river and tell him, "It sucks to be you." The police wasted no time going to arrest Jamie. And it is said that when the police came to arrest Jamie, he wasn't showing any kind of signs of empathy or remorse. In fact, he was as far to go saying that he was caught laughing and making jokes about the entire situation. The court hearing would take a full year, not because they found Jamie guilty or not, but because Jamie's defense was that at the time he was taking steroids and drinking alcohol, which would have an effect on his decision making. But the juror would come out and say that this had no hold on whether he had made a decision or not, and was proven that he premeditated this murder due to statements made by people before the court. Kids that had known the two would testify that Jamie was always violent and had always made statements not just to Amy, but to them that he would eventually kill Amy. One group of Amy's friends would actually go and testify at one time that Amy had came to him saying that she was pregnant, and he had actually suggested that she abort the fetus. And when she had said no, he would go around asking different peoples in the school if they would go and punch her in the stomach or throw her down a flight of stairs so she would abort the fetus. The police would go and tell the people who had testified to these statements they don't know if she was or wasn't pregnant because there was no fetus found in her at the time of the autopsy. So if she was pregnant, she had aborted the fetus before the murder. Jamie Fuller was ultimately found guilty of the murder of Amy Carnevale and was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Michael Carnevale would go at the trial and say that her entire life was robbed from them, and that her only crime was that she would look for the good in everybody. He would go and tell Jamie at the trial that there are things that he will never be able to share with his daughter. He'll never teach her to drive. He'll never give her a sweet 16, nor will he ever have the opportunity to walk her down the aisle. The parents decide to bury Amy Carnevale's body at St. Mary's Cemetery, which is there to this day. Her story would create a lot of media and would be the inspiration for a lot of books. Even the made-for-TV movie on Lifetime would do a movie about her murder, starring Candace Cameron from Full House and Fred Savage from The Wonder Years. Amy Carnevale was only 14 years old at the time of her murder, and just as her father had said, I think everyone was robbed from her death. When the trial was taken, this picture was taken of Jamie Fuller as they were discussing the murder, showing just how much empathy he had for his actions. When they would go and ask him why he killed her, he would just simply say, I don't know. I know I didn't want to be with her. I just didn't want anyone else to have her. So I just took care of the situation. Which would go and confirm that he never loved her. It was just a piece of property in his eyes. I believe he is where he needs to be, and by no shape or form should he ever be released to breathe the breath of air.